Hi, I'm April.
And I'm Bayleigh.
We are real-life friends and neighbors.
Together we run a business called Passionist Designs.
Our favorite part of our job is being in people's homes and hearing their stories. As we became inspired by these stories, we wanted to share them with others. That's where the Nestled podcast was born.
So join us each week as we are encouraged to pursue our own design decisions based on what we love instead of what fills our Instagram feed. Every home has a story, and we can't wait to hear yours. Hey guys, welcome back.
Hi, friends.
We hope that you all had a good spring break.
Yes, if you had spring break last week like we did, hope you're getting back in the swing of things. We're trying to get everything around our houses and our families back in order.
It's going to take a little while, but we're going to get there.
Yeah.
While we were gone, we gained a lot of you guys as new listeners, so welcome.
Yeah, we're so glad you're here.
To our little space called Nestled.
Yes, we hope that you feel a place to belong here and that you find some new friends.
And some encouragement. And for those of you who are new, if you like what you're hearing, we would love if you would go and leave us a review on iTunes because it helps other people find us.
Yes, and we have loved interacting with all of you. And it's been fun. It's always fun when we get new friends and we get to talk to you on Instagram and comment through different things. So that's been a really good part of our week. So that
encourages us.
It does encourage us. And so we thank you for that.
And so also this week, in the spirit of getting back into the swing of things, we have been doing a lot of shopping for clients.
We have.
Like a lot more than we have been lately.
Yeah.
And so one thing that's been really fun for us in all that shopping is, I don't know if anyone else noticed, but there's a new line at Target called Opal House.
Yes.
And it's channeling all those anthropology vibes.
Oh my gosh.
All those anthropology things I can't afford.
That make us so happy.
Yes.
The bright colors and the fun fabrics and all of that. And tassels. There's like tassels everywhere. We are loving it.
So that leads into what I'm thankful for this week, which is my new Opal House rug that is in my kitchen that is covering the tile floor that I hate.
But you have a happy,
and now I got
beautiful
a rug.
rug.
That's right. And my husband did not understand why I would want a rug in the kitchen, but he conceded and let me get it anyway, and it really does make me happy. Yeah. And he says that's what counts, even though he still thinks it's strange.
I love a rug anywhere, so I'm on board, and I've always got your back, regardless of it. I appreciate that.
I said, April said it's not weird. She said she would do it too. So what are you thankful for this week?
Well, this week, everyone could relate to me in my car situation whenever I said that when we did our cheers to the teachers who pick up the stuff that fall out of my car. But then there were some of you that were like, no, you're just the worst. But regardless, I got my car cleaned out, deep cleaned before we went out of town this week and detailed, and I'm so thankful. It's so wonderful. Yesterday when I picked up the kids and the door was open for carpool, I wasn't embarrassed at all.
Because it looks great. It does. I opened the door and I said, your car's so clean. I felt unworthy. Because my car is not clean.
I won't say if your car is clean or not, but I'm really thankful that mine is clean. So that is worth noting for this week.
Yeah, that's worth being thankful for sure. So this week on the podcast, we have our new friend Tiffany. We loved getting to hear from her.
Oh my goodness, she's so fabulous. You guys are going to love her.
She started an event that brings women together, which is something that we are always going to cheer on, even if from a distance. And so without saying too much about it, we'll let her explain it. So here's Tiffany.
Today we have with us Tiffany Bluhm. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes, you are.
Good. Tiffany, will you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from?
Yes, I am from University Place, just outside of Seattle, and I am a writer, author, Bible teacher, and I host Sip and Savor, a women's gathering from women from all over our South Sound area to break bread, sip wine, and talk about Jesus.
So how many of you guys are leading that?
I'm the gatherer-in-chief, and then I have 4 other gals who all play a role. Some of them do marketing and media. We have our creative director who decorates the restaurant that we meet in, and we have a gal who leads worship, and a gal who helps us organize our calendar.
Okay. So were all of you guys friends before, or how did y'all come together?
Yeah, we didn't all, I wouldn't say we all knew each other really well beforehand, except the worship leader and I. in the early days, it was just me. It was just me with an idea, thinking, I think that this is something women need, and I want to start a Bible study. I don't want to do it at my house, and I want it to be somewhere beautiful, and I want to have fine food. And so for the first year, it was just me teaching and setting the tables each week. And there was about 20 of us. And now on our roster, we have over 350 women.
350, wow. Is that weekly? Because you do 2 a week, right?
We do 2 back-to-back on Sundays.
Okay.
And so unfortunately, there's only 70 spots per session.
Okay.
And so our 7 p.m. session, which is our most popular, it sells out in about 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And then on our other one, we have, I would say 90% go in the first day. And then we have those last 10 trickle in. And so because we only have that many spots, obviously not everybody gets to come for every session, but sessions only run 5 weeks.
Okay.
And then we take a couple week break, and then people can jump back on in.
Gotcha.
Awesome.
Okay.
So it's very much a countdown till 9 a.m. when tickets go live to jump in.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
though.
but how exciting that you had this idea, and then now it's that big.
Right.
Oh, I would have never guessed. I was actually, it's the craziest story how it started. I was speaking at a women's leadership getaway, and this girl came up to me after a season of full-time ministry. I stepped away because I wanted to be able to just write full-time and see that dream come to pass, which it has, which is amazing. And this gal came up to me and she said, "Oh, I'm coming to your Bible study." And I was like, "Oh, I think you got me mixed up with somebody else." I was like, "There's like 1 billion Indians. I'm not the one you're thinking of." And she's like, no, me and my friends are coming. We're so excited. And I was like, "No, for real. I don't have a Bible. I don't teach a Bible study." And I'd been a pastor for nearly a decade at that point, but wasn't planning on teaching women's Bible study at all. And so I walked away, and I just felt a little niggling in my gut that said, "Do it, and don't have it at your house." And so a dear friend of mine owns a fine dining restaurant, a swanky restaurant in town. Everybody knows where it is. Everybody knows what it is. It's a really nice restaurant. So on a busy Friday night, when he was dripping sweat and, feeding this busy, bustling restaurant, he came to check on us. "Oh, how's your meal? How's everything going?" And I said, "I want to have Bible study here on Sundays because you're closed. Can I do that?" And he didn't even make eye contact with me. He just walked away and said, "I'll make you a key."
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah. And so about a month or 2 later, and he had only opened the restaurant, by the way, 3 weeks before I asked him that. So he's working around the clock, and I'm like, "Hey, on your only day off, would you like to come in and make fancy food for a bunch of women?" And we're just finishing up our 3rd year of SIB. So
awesome.
That is awesome.
It's been a lot of fun.
So are you from the Seattle area?
I'm from about an hour south of here. So for you, that is all the same. But for me, I'm from out in the country. And so to live a little bit near the city is a lot more fun. I'm loving it. And I've been here 10 years.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, in the Seattle area.
And then are you and the other women, are any of y'all married?
We are, some of us are divorced. Some of us, you mean all in the leadership team? Or
yeah, just the leadership team.
The leadership team. Yeah. We have a gal who's our worship leader. She's divorced. The other 3, another one's divorced, remarried, kind of a mixed, all the kids coming together. And then the other 3 were married. We're all married with kids except our worship leader.
Okay. And how old are your kids?
My kids are 7 and 3.
Okay. I was just trying to paint a picture for everybody because we didn't know that at the beginning of what the makeup is. So
yeah.
So you had a baby when you started this other baby.
I know. So it was he's 3.5. So I started SIP when he was 6 months old, and had I still, even to this day, I'm like, how did this happen? How did this roll into this ginormous movement that we're pushing away and sending away 40 to 50 women each session because we just can't accommodate the amount of growth we have. So it's been a crazy, ride. I love it. In a past life, when I was leading ministry, I was an outreach pastor, and did local and global outreach. So I'm no stranger to building teams and leading volunteers and building things to scale. But I was never the be-all, end-all boss. Obviously, I wasn't the senior leader. So now to be like, okay, the buck stops with me. This is my dream and my vision. I'm inviting other women to play a key role and part, and inviting them to stake in it all has really been so much fun. Obviously, a ton of responsibility,
Right.
It's so much fun. Until I have to do our taxes.
Yes. Oh, the taxes.
We just finished that. Yeah.
We're like dreamy, creative types, and then when it comes to like the paperwork, actually we need to be doing paperwork like today.
Yeah.
But I mean, that is just a nightmare for us.
Yeah, but it's a necessary.
It's a necessary evil. Yeah.
So now you need somebody on your team that'll do that for you too.
Right. You need to increase.
Oh no, we got that sorted. The guy who does the calendar is going to do our taxes.
Awesome.
Like, by the way,
we all need people on our team that are walking in their giftings because they're all
yes.
Sure.
So what have you seen is the greatest draw from women in your community to these events?
Yeah, you know what? It's so different than for. I will say this too, and SIP. I live in the Pacific Northwest. Jesus isn't the most popular kid here, in the sense that, you would never assume someone goes to church or has a faith. You just would never assume, like, ever. Your neighbors, the person at the grocery store. You just wouldn't assume a faith,
right?
If that's fair to say. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but so at SIP we have women who've never heard the gospel, women who've never step foot in a church, and they would never miss SIP ever. So I would say only 60% of the women who attend SIP would say that they have that they're active in their church or that they have a relationship with Jesus. So it's really been a beautiful thing to see all these women who have no connection to any connection to me or any of the other women that are attending. And they see this online and they're like, I'm totally going to that. And they're paying to come,
Right.
So it's not just like, hey, I'm going to pop into that. Like, no, I'm going to pay $40 and show up and sip wine and listen to this girl preach for 40 minutes.
Right.
So it's been a really crazy thing. It's very different in the sense that, I feel like in church culture, and I don't know how many of your listeners are familiar with that, so they're going to get a little education.
Yeah.
But in church culture, there's this, we show up on Sunday mornings and it's this big group gathering. And then we want people to show up at a small group with like 8 people in a home. There's no middle ground really.
Right.
For the majority of churches, there isn't really a whole lot of middle ground. So SIP, we've created this aesthetically pleasing, beautiful getaway that's a middle ground. You don't have to clean your house to come. Just, throw your hair up, put on some heels, puts on some lipstick, and we'll see you there. Like, come as you are, but you can totally get dressed up if you want. For many women, it's their only night off. We do have a lot of women who have kids.
Okay.
Our age is about 25 to 45, so we're definitely, lots of kids that are represented there.
Right.
And so to have a night out with your girlfriends, it's a really sweet thing. And it's not assigned seating, which is very common in women's ministries. Sitting at a table of 8 with a table leader, we don't have any of that. It's a restaurant, so every table sits about 4, and then we want you to bring your friend. We're not going to mix you up and make you so people you've never met. We want you to just be with your people, and we open with just a half an hour of just wine and dine, and the chef pairs all of our wine. So it's a really beautiful. Let's see, on this past Sunday night, we had brioche with honey butter and rhubarb and pickled grape salad. Just delicious, creative things. And then after we have some time to just catch up, then I teach for about 40 minutes, and then we have time as worship music is played. It's time to just journal. So we provide every woman with a little journal and just encourage them of everything they've just heard. And we have some journal prompts to just really, what does this mean to you right now? What does this mean for your life? Take a minute to edit ruthlessly and intentionally who you are and who you're becoming of what we've just learned. And then after that, we have discussion questions that are completely unrelated to those journal questions. We want those to be so raw so they don't have to be shared with anybody. And then from there, women fill out a prayer card every week. And then by Wednesday or Thursday, we text or call each and every woman with that specific prayer request. So it's a very highly relational experience. It's a really, really beautiful time.
Yeah, I love so many things about so much.
We were so intrigued when we saw you online by these events, because our desire with the podcast was we were in people's homes for decorating, and we started to see how many women were longing for relationships. And there was just this desire of like, wanting someone to be their friend and to talk to them and to tell their story. And we're like, well, we love your story, and we want to help you feel like your home is a place you can invite people into and to open your home. And so that's where the podcast came from, was this desire to encourage people to love where you are, love your home as it is. And, even some tips along the way to make it where you love it more, but to open yourself and your home up to having people in so that you can build those things. And so I just felt like, in the same way that you're creating this environment, that's what we're encouraging people to do in their homes. But on this grander scale.
Right, because you can't have 350 people in your house every month.
But this beautiful thing that you're creating where these ladies are able to
build community
with one another.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. In the early days, we call it Sip in the Garden for our summer events. And we would just meet in my backyard, and my backyard is pretty sizable, and there's an outdoor entrance, and we would bring all my indoor furniture, my couch and my love seat and all my stuff outside and set it up so it looked like a dream. It was so much fun, but it was really just that encouragement of like, it doesn't matter if your weeds are pulled, it doesn't matter that things aren't perfect. Do what you can, make it a space you love, and make it a space people can gather. So
do you find that people are creating community within SIP and like forming friendships and stuff that they're taking outside of that?
Absolutely. I think that's my favorite part, to be honest. There was a gal, I would always see her and this other girl post on Instagram. And one day I was like, how did you guys meet each other? She's like, at SIP. And I was like, no way. And she was moving out of state to Santa Barbara, California. And it was that other girl who was helping pack and doing all this. And they've gone and visited each other. And there's so many situations like that of people just meeting other women. So that's been a really, really beautiful thing to think like, you can connect here, you belong here. We don't all have to agree, but to accept each other as they are is the goal.
Do you get a lot of feedback that people use this as like their self-care?
Absolutely. And we kind of advertise it as that, like take a minute to refresh your soul. Our tagline is refresh your soul at the table. So, because the restaurant is called The Table, and it's got a 22 seat communal table that runs down the middle of the restaurant. So it really kind of fits the vibe of come refresh, refresh in the food and be nourished by each other and laughter and fun. So it's incredible.
And refresh in the word too.
Come on.
Is really
Even
nice.
if that's not what you're looking for, you're going to get it.
You're going to get it whether you want it or not.
So what would your encouragement be to someone who has the seed of an idea or the seed of a dream and they're not sure what to do with it?
Yeah, the seed of a dream. I would say be able to write it down on paper and know that the world may keep on spinning if this doesn't happen, but you won't. You have to do this. So begin with the end in mind and step back of what do I want this to look like? What do I want this to smell like? Who do I want to be there? And then really order your steps that way, but truly decide if this is worth it, and then start with the end and work backwards. And also, just to add this on, I am a big believer in outsourcing your weaknesses. So in SIP, I lead our leadership team and I preach. I don't do anything else besides that. Obviously, we're all on the prayer team. If you're in any capacity in leadership, you are the one to receive those prayer cards each week and connect with a woman. But everything else is people walking in their gift and doing it and loving it. So
yes,
I would say that too.
I love
Obviously that doesn't always happen in the beginning, but when you can get to that point,
eventually,
it's super sweet.
Yes.
So you mentioned that you're an author. Tell us a little bit about what you write about in case people want to go and find that.
Yeah, well, I am a faith blogger. I started blogging back when MySpace had their little notes that you could do.
I remember the MySpace notes.
Yeah, come on. MySpace notes. We all did it, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then I would say a couple years ago, I've always had a blog of some sort, but then a few years ago I thought I have it in me. I want to be not just a writer, but an author. And 95% of people who want to get published don't. I knew the odds were slim, but I felt like I will work and hustle at this because it's my heart to encourage women. So started blogging, and then July of 2016 was able to pitch to a publisher, and February of this year of 2018, my book launched. It's called Never Alone, and it totally hits on what you talked about earlier. of understanding that you won't be left to fight the hardest battles of your life. Doesn't matter what you've done, what's happened to you, or who you are. You are worthy of companionship. You have a place at the table, and God has great and glorious plans for you. So I am so passionate about its message. I believe that every woman, no matter what she's been through, deserves to know that she's an equal and that she has skills, gifts, and abilities that are unique to her. So with that book I wrote, I also wrote a Bible study with it, which was a thing where I pitched to have a book, and then these publishers came back and said, we're interested in you writing a book, and we're contemplating offering a contract for that, but would you also be interested in writing a Bible study? So a book is 50,000 words, and the Bible study was 55,000 words. So it was quite the undertaking. That was a lot of words. It was so many words. So many words. Yeah, so, and that came out in February, so super excited about that.
So it's new. I did watch your intro about a little bit about the Bible study in the book.
Oh, and yeah.
Love the idea behind that, and I think it's going to be so useful in women's hands and in the kingdom. And so I haven't read it yet, but I'm really thankful that you followed the Lord's leading in that. I think it's going to be beautiful. So,
and we'll link to that in the
I'm excited
too.
For sure.
Where is it? Is it on Amazon? Or is it
Amazon, Lifeway, Barnes and Noble, and obviously on the site TiffanyBluhm.com.
Okay.
Yeah, everywhere, pretty much anywhere books are sold, especially online.
Okay, well, we do something every week called Love It or Leave It.
Ooh.
And it's real simple. You just either say love it or leave it. And you can go a little bit more in depth if you want to, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
Okay, I love questions
no
like this.
Pressure.
Okay.
Hit me.
Okay. So we kind of themed it to your SIP event. So we did a little more like food kind of stuff.
Oh, bring it on.
White wine.
Ooh, leave it.
Leave it?
Are you a red wine girl?
Mm-hmm. Through and through.
That was my next question, red wine.
Oh, love it.
What's your favorite kind?
Ooh, right now, Malbec.
See, I'm a white wine, like Moscato, nice and sweet.
we're from the South.
Barely wine. That's barely even wine. That's dessert is what that is.
We like our alcohol
sweet.
to taste like dessert.
Yeah.
So. You're like, what's the sugar content in this?
Yeah,
So rosé. I can't even do rosé because it's too sweet.
Oh, man. See, I like my tea sweet.
I don't put any sugar in my coffee either.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Like I said, I do sweet tea. So, I mean,
I think there's like a meter as you go down the country as to like the amount of sugar.
Yeah.
Like, we're like on the coast. So
that's hilarious. You know what? That's true. I once saw a heat map of just like the sugar intake in America. And you're onto something there. It was true, yeah.
My mother, who listens to this, is anti-sugar, and she's sitting there going, like, I'm telling her it's poison. She eats it anyway, drinks it, everything. Okay. Dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate. Ooh, love it.
Well, because you don't love sweet.
If it has salt on it, especially. Yeah, if it has salt on it.
Do you go to Costco?
I hate Costco with every fiber of my being.
Oh my goodness. It's one of our favorite places. So
you just take so long to get in and to get out. I just feel like you go in to buy like snap peas and you come out and you're like, I spent $12,000.
Yeah,
how does this happen?
True. That is very true.
We use it as like an afternoon liaison with our children where they can eat all the samples and they come out feeling like they had their afternoon snack.
It's also important to know we're neighbors and we live about 3 minutes from Costco.
Right.
So it's like
wow.
We have like 8 kids between the two of us, so.
Oh my goodness, that is a Costco trip. You guys don't have a choice.
But they have, the whole reason I said that is they have these salted caramel dark chocolate things that I'm addicted to right now.
I know what you're talking about.
They have like the
you
big
know what?
pieces of salt on them.
So those I forget the name of them, but I know exactly what you're talking about. And one time for our session, the creative director, she put cute little bowls of those chocolates out.
They're so good. So good.
Got real expensive because people really liked them, so we stopped doing it. But
they were all gone at the end of the session. We were going to ask you about Indian food, but then you mentioned that you were Indian. So.
Yeah. Did you already know I was Indian before you started?
We didn't. No.
Yeah, I'm East Indian. I was adopted when I was 2. I was born in Delhi.
Okay.
Yeah, I love Indian food. I could eat it every day. And I mean, I grew up in the Northwest, and I would say the closer you get to Seattle, there's a pretty high concentration of Indians simply because of Microsoft, Expedia, Nintendo, Amazon, and Boeing, and obviously all that. I mean, the CEO of Microsoft is Indian, for goodness sake. So there's a lot of Indians, and there's a lot of good food up there. But I can't make it very well, to be really honest with you. But I sure love eating it. I'm really good at that.
Did your parents, since you were adopted, did they feed you a lot of Indian food growing up, or not so much?
We would go out once a year on my adoption day and go out to Indian food, and I loved it. And we'd have pistachio ice cream and naan bread and the whole 9 yards. I loved it. And now we eat Indian food quite a lot in our house. I would say maybe once a week.
Yeah. We adopted our daughter from Colombia, and I try so hard to cook Colombian food for her, but it's just it's not the same.
Right. Bayleigh really tries to.
She will always appreciate the effort. She will totally appreciate the effort.
And to bring the culture. She really does try to bring that culture.
Well, and we love Colombia, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really sad. Were you at the dinner whenever I tried to make dessert? Anyway, my Colombian dessert did not.
It didn't do what it was supposed to. It fell flat.
It literally fell flat.
Yes.
So, what about tofu?
Oh God, no.
Nope.
Good. Leave it in the grocery store.
Yeah, we're once again from the South. We can't.
That's
my gosh, do Southern people eat tofu? I hope they don't.
Not many.
Really.
Not many.
I mean,
tofu is like common. Like when you get offered at a Thai restaurant, it'll say like chicken, beef, or tofu. Or everywhere you go, the tofu is the option.
Yeah, everywhere. There's not much of that.
That's not a lot here.
Well, bless you.
Yeah. What about Southern cuisine?
I haven't had a ton, to be honest with you. But what I have had, I've really enjoyed. In fact, I have a speaking engagement in Nashville next week, and I'm like, I want to try some Southern food. And the last time I was in the South was September, I think, and I had a little bit, but haven't tried too much of it. There actually is I think he's a James Beard nominated chef in Seattle, and it's like high class Southern food. So I've been wanting to try that as well.
Yeah.
But
I wonder what that is. High class Southern food.
Yeah, right. What does that mean? Because most Southern food is fried.
Yeah.
Or
I don't
cooked
think this
in
is
butter.
fried, and it's like $35 a plate. So I don't think it's.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fried.
Probably not fried.
Probably not fried chicken. But if you're ever in Mobile, Alabama, we will take you to some good soul Southern food while you're here.
Right.
It's not what we eat on the reg, but
I actually don't really love fried food.
No, I don't either.
But I mentioned earlier my mother is very healthy, so I wasn't raised on fried food, so my stomach can't handle it like most Southerners. Yeah. Makes me sick. I can't
it's like it's like a way of life, isn't it? Like this is how y'all. I mean, it's just everywhere. The offerings of it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Food is like life.
Well, it's interesting. I have a daughter who can't eat. She's dairy free and gluten free.
Oh,
and
goodness.
we found that so many people, especially older people, love on people through food.
Yes.
And then they're very put off by us with her. That, like, we won't just let her eat whatever they're trying to feed her. You know what I mean?
Oh.
But I'm like, well, she's going to be sick, and you're not going to be here when she's puking, so.
Oh.
But, yeah, it really throws people off. I guess I'd never really noticed how much people trying to love on you with food until you had a kid that can't eat anything. Yeah, until I had a kid that can't eat anything.
Tofu.
Yeah, no. She can eat meat and vegetables.
Yes.
With no butter.
Yeah.
So yeah, she really
no butter. She can have butter.
She's dairy free. So no milk. Anything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No milk products. It's very unfortunate.
Do you give her like Earth Balance or something?
Well, we have recently tried to get her to eat like vegetable spread on some stuff, but she doesn't care for it. Just because she's never had it. She just turned 5. Right. And so anyway, she doesn't eat it, which good for her.
Right,
I love butter.
Totally.
Yeah, you know, and like
give me all the bread and butter.
All the bread and butter and pasta and yeah, and like she doesn't like
I love it all.
pasta, but she's only ever had gluten-free pasta, so why would she be obsessed with it? You know?
Right.
So
okay, on this, can we take a tangent and talk about food allergies for like 2.5 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do it.
So I was in Paris a few days ago. And we were on spring break on vacation, and I had everything. I had all the bread and lattes and did all the things, right? Did not have one stomach ache the entire time. If I were to eat like that at home, I would be in the fetal position.
Yes.
Eating all the bread and the this and the pastas and the pastries and croissants and all this, and I just couldn't believe it. No not even a grumble or a tummy ache, nothing. I was fine the whole time. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what are they doing to our food?
Difference?
So what are they putting in there?
Right. Yeah.
It's crazy. And I had read like the preservatives in Europe versus America so much less, but I'm just like, oh my goodness, I like no tummy aches for 12 days. I couldn't even believe it.
Yeah.
At home, I avoid dairy and bread products, but there I was like, let's do this.
Right.
And it didn't kick off. But at home, if I were to do that, I'd be in so much pain. It was weird.
Right. It's got to be a lot about the preservatives.
And the food hasn't bothered me like it does here.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
It's easier to find food with dietary restrictions abroad too. We found that in Colombia. Like, it was so easy to feed Aniston in Colombia because they don't put flour in everything. And like, anyway.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, everything's not cooked in butter.
Yep. So
interesting.
Anyway, that is
it's crazy.
Well, and gluten-free stuff, you can't just sit it on your shelf forever because the preservatives aren't there. So that would make sense.
Right.
Because stuff goes bad a lot faster. The bread goes bad. We keep her bread in the freezer because it goes bad so fast.
Yeah, we keep ours in the freezer because it's so expensive and it goes bad so fast.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So in kind of closing about your fabulous events, how would you encourage ladies who are just in a place where they haven't really had people that were in their inner circle for a while? How would you encourage them to open up and to, we all are going to get hurt in relationships along the way, but to open up and to also be willing to kind of step outside of your comfort zone and be part of some things that maybe are out of the norm, but that will help you to meet people that can be your people?
Yeah, absolutely. The timing is perfect on this. In fact, our series that we're currently in at SIP is on friendship, healthy female friendships. And I would say this, so many of us feel like the answer to loneliness or not feeling seen or heard, because that's what we all desire, to be known, seen and heard in a safe environment with people that we love and have some consistency to that. And so when we don't have that, we ache because we're built for it. So I would say first, the answer can be, I just need new friends. That's the kind of the rhetoric that we repeat to ourselves in our head. And while that can feel the fantasy that we want to happen, perhaps we consider the people that are in our lives that we do have some chemistry with, really promoting them to a more intimate and vulnerable place in our lives and giving them the opportunity to, yes, accept them for who they are, but invite them in to share your life with, because there's so much fear in friendship that they'll be judged, be bullied, manipulated, codependency. There's all these poor experiences we've had in our past that play into how we make friends. And so being able to accept our own brokenness and see the brokenness in somebody else and lean in together and find common ground. You know what? I think we're, in school, there's that consistency of we're all going through the same thing. But, once you hit 21, 22, 23, 24, especially if you went to grad school, then you find yourself like, nobody is going through what I'm going through anymore. I don't feel understood. I don't feel seen or known, nor do I understand what other people are going through. So being able to look past and do the work to be seen and be heard and be known and not making it all about you. I think friendship takes an enormous amount of generosity of heart. And so being able to listen and to lean in and be available. And that's hard. It's like dating, it's putting yourself out there, and it takes time. It takes time. But I would say for anyone feeling like, who are my people? One of the first things we did this past Sunday night, since this past Sunday night was the first in this spring series for SIP, I had everybody close their eyes and I said, raise your hand if you feel like you have 3 close friends. And I would say about half of the people raised their hand. And then I said, how about 1? And a few more people raised their hands. And I said, how about none? And so many people raised their hands. And it's just this feeling of I think as women, there's no guidebook for this.
Right.
The loneliness factor is hard. And we disqualify ourselves from relationships based on past hurt. And then we expect other people to fix what's only Christ can heal. And they can't. We have to be able to have healthy expectations and boundaries of another. And really taking the time to look at yourself and be like, what do I want in a friendship? What matters to me? And once we can identify that and being willing to get to know people and understand that intimate friendship that we also crave, it takes time. It takes time. It's not something that can be microwaved. It is a slow roast.
That's
so
right.
Really allowing people to be their true self and be your true self and get to know each other little by little. But it has to be consistent. We can't have something that we think, oh, why am I not closer to this person? Well, maybe that relationship is lacking consistency. And what can you do to build consistency in that friendship? Obviously, it needs positivity. We want, research shows that it takes 5 positive experiences for every 1 negative. So if somebody cuts or hurts you in some sort of comment, but if we know that on the whole, there's kindness and grace and generosity shown in that friendship, then we'll give them a free pass. And then all building to that vulnerability and that vulnerability to be known. And I think friendships are put to the test in transition. When you are, let's say you just had a baby or a divorce or miscarriage or you're moving, when those friendships don't come along with you, that's something to be grieved. That's hard. And then you find yourself in this place of, who are my people? Who are my people? Or realizing who's still here, who's still here for the journey, who's still here for the road, and being the friend that we want, not just being like, nobody wants to be my friend, of like, okay, well, what kind of person am I being in this season and time? So I think that it takes an enormous amount of self-awareness and reflection, but we're all built for companionship with God and each other. So it isn't something that we'll never have. It's just something that takes work.
Right. Do you know, I love what you said about looking to see who's still there, because I think so often people get so caught up in who's gone that they forget to go, but I've got you.
Right.
Yeah. And that, and that can be enough. And so, I think that's really powerful. Well, I think a lot of people are going to love everything that you just said.
I love it. And I was just thinking how we had a guest who talked about when someone crosses the threshold of your home, the relationship changing. And then we interviewed Jamie Ivey, and she said, I would even go a little further and say, when you sit around the table with them, the walls come down. And so I love what you're doing, that even though it's not your home, you're creating this environment of home for people, and they're coming in and they're sitting around the table, and these relationships are growing, and you're just doing really awesome things.
Thank you. Having a lot of fun doing it.
Tiffany, where can people find you on the internet?
On the interwebs, they can find me. I hang out a lot on Instagram at Tiffany Bluhm, Bluhm, and on my website, TiffanyBluhm.com.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for talking with us.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Such a pleasure.
And I know we can't wait for everybody to hear what you have to say.
Oh, thank you. I'll be sure to get the word out on my end, too.
Yes. Awesome. All right. Thanks, Tiffany.
Bless you.
We were so encouraged by our conversation with Tiffany. We felt like she had so much wisdom, and I think that there are so many things that we can all pull from that interview to be encouraged by, but also to kind of push us to get outside of ourselves. And her events are just so well timed, I feel like, for so many people, and that she's bringing these ladies from all different walks of life, from all different backgrounds, together around the table to have good wine and good food and good fellowship. And we think that is really priceless. It's something that we are trying to champion in our own lives, but also encouraging other people to do. And so our encouragement to you is to get out there and to take something that you've heard and apply it to your life as well.
I even think her idea about how she moves her furniture and like set it up outside and did a little bit there's something to be said for even just that. If you can't do something on a grand scale, because we can't all, I guess we could, but we're not all going to, champion these big events. The other thing that I love to hear was all of her stuff at the end about friendship. And I hope for those of you that needed to hear that are encouraged by it, and that you step outside of yourself today and you take some of her advice and find your people.
Yes.
Look around and see who's still there. Like she said, I thought that was so powerful.
I do too.
Thank you again to Tiffany for coming on. We really loved getting to know you.
Yes. And if you haven't followed us yet on Instagram, there's lots of fun going on there. So follow us at Nestled Podcast on Instagram. We can be found at poshnestdesigns.com. And we're so glad that you joined us today. And we look forward to talking with you guys throughout this week. And we'll be back next week.
Yep. See you then. Bye.